To our Dynamics webinar on why do digital transformation projects fail and what can we do to ensure success. First thing we can do is make sure our digital technology is working and just try and turn off some sound so we're not feeding myself back. I think there we go. I'm sitting here in this fabulous new podcast room in the Vulcan Works, which is part of Oxford Innovation Centre, which is where we're based in Northampton. So we're using a whole load of new technology, but we thought what better to do on the afternoon of Friday the 13th than help people avoid the horror show that some people still think a digital transformation project can be. So what are we going to take you through today? We're going to look at how we can get a brief overview of Dynamics and what it does. We're going to do the digital technology adoption and how we can really learn some lessons, share some case studies, and then move us forward on that. So again, just a small technical issue. It's all fun and games. So that's our, and then we will have time for some questions at the end. So if you're joining us live, I know a number of you have signed up and will be receiving the video of this. But if you're joining us live, please pop some questions in the Q&A and we'll try and answer them at the end. So if we're going to talk about digital transformation projects failing, first thing we need to do is say, what does failure actually look like? And when many of us are stuck in sort of proof of concept purgatory, and we've tried this and we've tried that, but we've never actually brought it into something that is functioning on the shop floor and making an impact, it's often just that decision to not get started, which is the first level of failure. You start to do a project, you think you know what you need to do, but you never actually get off the starting line. Next is not reaching the full potential. So you put something in, so you might start to digitize your work instructions, for example, and have them all managed so they're accessible on the shop floor. But the real opportunity there is to have a feedback loop, how well do the work instructions function, what feedback is there from the shop floor, do they actually follow those instructions or not? And if you're not capturing the full potential of the opportunity, or in fact, you're capturing real-time data, but not responding in real time to clear up bottlenecks or clear up issues, then you're not reaching its full potential. We often say we've got a stoppage on our system that says the machine's down, but if that stoppage is not connected to someone who can do something about the machine being down pretty quickly, then actually what can you really do with it? And then the other thing is taking too long to see the return on investment. When you start a digital transformation project, or in fact, for digital transformation, also consider AI on any AI project, but you're constantly doing something and putting it into action, but you're not seeing the return on investment. You're not getting quick enough to the wins for the business. And that can be rooted in all kinds of areas. So what is our basis for sharing this information with you? Well, TotalControlPro has been supporting people with digital transformation for over 15 years. This is some of the logos that we've supported with our Dynamics manufacturing platform. We work in all discrete manufacturing environments, but really for us, it's about whether you're an SME or an enterprise customer, it's needing to have agility on the shop floor, ability to respond to changes quickly, ability to deal with complex bills of material and really get that flexibility. Now, the challenge is most systems are built for an account system. So they take the accounts requirements or the KPIs of a group level and they push them down to what's being measured on the shop floor. But as we know, that's not how shop floors function. So what we do is we take it the other way around. We go, can we take what's happening on the shop floor, that real-time information, pull it up through the organization to give real-time visibility and insights, but also guide how to respond more effectively and ultimately produce more, waste less, and optimize the use of your resources. So for us, yes, people call us a smart ERP, a smart MRP, a smart MES, but really we say we're an operational platform. We are the operational execution layer. So you might have an ERP that's functioning at group level. You might have some machine data coming off at a machine level, but we are the functional, operational level that takes the two bits of information together and really gives you insight on how to make a difference. What does that look like? Well, the goal is take your demand, understand immediately what your opportunities are, what available manpower and machines, what inventory requirements are, any issues that you need to do in terms of monitoring, reporting and tracing them back, and having that constant feedback loop to how to improve and make things better and better and better. So, right, real-time data, optimize use of resources, feedback loop to make improvements, continuous improvements on an ongoing basis. So that's the credibility that we do, and we work with our clients belly to belly, over long to distance, over various different methods to deliver an operational platform into their environment. But ultimately what we're doing is we're working with people. And inside of any discrete manufacturing, 60 to 80% of the costs are the labor costs. So we are working with people, and for us, it's about providing a tool that makes the quality of lives of the people in the organization better. Can they do the job more effectively? Can we help them to change habits so that those habits become long-term benefits for themselves and for the company? So when we look at the digital transformation process, or the reason why things fail and what we can learn for them, we often use this dysfunctions of a team kind of model. And it starts with the basis of why do things fail, or why does a team fail? Because most of the time we see projects fail because the team hasn't functioned effectively. And we're part of that team, by the way. So we are absolutely owning and taking full responsibility inside of that. So what does that look like? Well, first of all, it's about collaboration and teamwork. We want to pull everybody together. So these dysfunctions are the absence of trust, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability. No one takes accountability for anything. And then not really making sure you're focused on the results. What's the North Star? What's the ultimate goal? If you miss those elements, then the team can go off in their own direction, and ultimately they're all chasing their own needs. So let's break those down and see what we can do in terms of addressing those. So first of all, to avoid the absence of trust, you've got to build trust. So for us, that means getting to know the team. And I know that there are many of our competitors out there, and that they'll deliver on a long distance arm's length or through other sources of consultancies, etc. For us, because we develop our own product, we say we're built by manufacturers for manufacturers. We like to actually get on the ground and see what's going on. Even our distant clients, so our clients in the States, Australia, etc., even South Africa, we've organised for a visit to actually understand and see what's going on. Or we have a champion who can go around and be those eyes and ears for us and feed it back. But it's understanding everyone in the team who's involved, understanding that everyone needs to see an upside, whether you are operating a machine for 8 hours a day, or you're trying to get who you're invoicing and get invoicing done correctly and efficiently, or you're trying to understand what your lead times are on materials, so you're ordering and procuring materials more effectively. Everyone needs to see the upside. Often when we talk about productivity, there's the sense that if we're going to digitize the system, everyone's going to see improvements and efficiencies. But if someone's operating a machine for 8 hours and that's what they get paid to do, they're going to operate the machine for 8 hours, whether it produces 8 products or 80 products. So you've got to show how they can, and that has a feedback loop to have them do their jobs better. So everyone sees an upside, and the first key thing we need to do is engage the people. And often we'll look for a champion inside the organization, and we'll have a champion inside of our organization who's delivering the project, and have them really get what's everyone's win in this environment. But the next thing is, yes, you want trust, but not to fear conflict. Sometimes you're seeking alignment, but not agreement. Once you've got everyone heard, all the stakeholders get their possibilities and concerns, but you have to make sure that they're not just going, yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. You want them to voice what the issues are. You want to understand what their key worries and concerns are. If you can get those, then you can do something about them as the project starts. There's nothing worse than stuff coming out down the line because someone on the shop floor didn't say, yeah, but that'll never work, even though that's what was going on in the back of their head. We want to know all the reasons why you think it won't work, and then we can do it. Because at the end of the day, any digital transformation that's on the shop floor, if it means people have to take longer to do things, it's the design error. So we need to make sure that we're addressing it and we can pick it up first. So for us, it's about in that first kind of meetings, ensuring people can like suggest what they want to do. And I know it's controversial, but the customer is not always right. Sometimes we need to challenge the way people do things. Just because you have a digital project and it's a poor process, you're still going to have a poor process that's just digitalized. You'll just have visibility of a poor process and you still won't have any functions to do anything about it. So when we are engaged in this, it is the opportunity for teams to look at the process, go, is this really what works for us? Is this really what's going to deliver? But here's the good thing. If you have a good new system that can be adjusted, can be configured in different ways, you can often set up 1 or 2 or 3 different ways to do things. We certainly can on our platform. Let people try it out, understand what that shows up before pushing it down into the live environment. That means you can practice all the different ways, and actually the process of deploying a digital system can actually help you to really refine and improve your standard operating procedures. So conflict, both sides, be prepared that we won't always agree with you, but our ultimate aim is to hit those goals and that return on investment for the customer. So then it's about commitment, and that's why we talked about alignment as well. It is always about the end in mind, and the end might not be the long-term goal, you know, a fully automated, everything connected, all single point of truth of every single granular detail of what goes on, but stage gates that go, our first thing is we just need to see what's happening on the production floor. Let's set that goal, get that in place, reach that, then the next goal is, and actually have those goals, small little adoption steps that build the trust, overcome some of that conflict or concern, and deliver some real return on investment quickly. If you can really focus on that, then you can give some wins to those that need it. And then the change becomes a norm. Often say you can lose trust on the shop floor with one click. So making sure that everyone understands what they need to see and removing anything that is not necessary. So with that commitment, you can also address those who do not like change. No, there are those that love change. There are those that do not like change. And it's just about helping to take them through those steps and see the benefits. We did a deployment to a very industrial environment, very dirty environment. They were actually reformatting some huge great mining tires. And one of the roles was to, once the tire had been cleared of all the excess rubber, find patches and put patches on. And the team believed that the 2 gentlemen who did this role, who'd been doing it, they were in their 60s, they'd been doing it for all their time, would be the ones who'd find it most difficult. They were constantly irritated by the fact that the paperwork they got was soggy and messy by the time it got to them. It was hard for them to record the patches they'd added to it, and the patches were an important part of the audit trail. The minute we showed them they wouldn't have to deal with messy, grimy paperwork, that their patching and their work would be acknowledged quickly as part of what had happened to that repair, they were like, absolutely love this. This is exactly what we've been wanting to do. So their best practice and the things they were doing that made a big difference were being captured quickly, and they loved it. So the person often who you think isn't going to like the change can become your biggest champion. So it is always a journey. I think one of the things that we've become accustomed to, especially in manufacturing, because there's an end point, there's an end product, right? So you're thinking about the adoption of a new system as being done, it's ready, now we can use it. But it's an ongoing journey, it's an ongoing iteration. And each time you learn a new bit of information, you want to be able to use that to actually make improvements. And then you have to look at the accountability. So those failures is avoidance. People going, oh, that's not my job. That's not my responsibility. Oh, who's going to do that? So ensuring that you've got that direct support of senior management. We have had a number of projects that haven't continued because a lot less so recently, but in the sort of early days of Industry 4, where the youngster in the group was told to go do the Industry 4 thing or go get that digital stuff done, and didn't have senior management buy-in. So it's really, really important you've got that buy-in and that ultimate accountability. But then also regular sprints with the team, who's doing what, who's who in the game, who's going to deliver what responsibility, understand the resource requirements needed. If it's, inventory management and the warehouse manager's got to get whole new sort of location codes, et cetera, understand what that's going to take for them, what kind of time they've got, be realistic in when they're going to be able to do that and how you're going to be able to deliver the project, and then make sure that's all part of the timeline. Because yes, it's a digital system, we can press a few buttons and it's all there, but we also know that it has to be done inside of a working, functioning factory. So it's so important to work together, and you don't just have one person trying to make this happen across the team. That's why I've talked about it a bit already, the digital champion, someone who has a great attitude, definitely over skill. I wouldn't say don't choose the person who you think, oh, they're young, so they must understand this digital stuff. It's someone who wants to see how they can improve all the different parts. We had a great conversation this morning with one of our customers who really just goes, I've done this bit in this area, but now I can see where I can do this bit over here. And I can see, and because they've now got full end-to-end visibility of the whole process, they are looking at where they can make improvements and taking it to their senior management. So it's really about empowering your champion with a great attitude to allow you to do that. And then, engaging with peer-to-peer learning and how others have done it. Again, I was at an event at Moog down in Tewkesbury yesterday, and they were talking about how they are sharing with the community, with their environment, like the things that they've done, the changes that they've made and how they've improved, because that helps the other areas of the business to do so as well. So making sure things are really shared, but then also having a clear accountability on us as the tech provider for who's doing what and how you can bring things through. So ultimately, it's then about the results, inattention to results, not thinking about the end game, not knowing what's actually going on. As we talked about it, you've got to find the wins for everyone, from shop floor to top floor. You get good stuff in, you're going to get great stuff out. The real-time impact of everyone's actions. There's a process called nudge theory, which says that if you can show people little nudges as to how improvements can be made, then those improvements happen and become part of the habit. So, it's always for us, it's about give the return on investment to give the results. So on the shop floor, it might just be, I'm not spending 10 minutes every hour wandering around going, what's next? I always know what I need to do next. I know what's coming to me. I know where my materials are, and I'm not having to just chase up for a supervisor or chase up for the next stage to say, have you finished that job? Can I do this now? That's a real win on the shop floor. Now, what that should translate into is improved productivity. But for the shop floor, they don't see that, but they see, I'm not wasting my time and I'm being effective in my role. Or someone's not shouting at me because I haven't done the next job, because how was I supposed to know it was next? But all the way through, those live reportings, the key results for the customer, and the key return on investment piece. One of the big challenges we see is if you lose sight of what was the goal in the beginning. Because as you start to open up new opportunities, new digital platforms, there's all sorts of things that can happen. And you might get stuck over here dealing with inventory and all the detail here, when actually the key requirement was, I need to know when jobs are going out the door so I can invoice them. And we get stuck at the beginning side, and that last stage takes a long, long time. And then, of course, the finance go, hang on, I thought I was going to be able to see the invoices so I could know when to invoice. And that's where you need to stay focused on the end goal, get there, and then refine, define, design everything else around that to improve and make that continuous improvement. So it's that mindset of continuous improvements that really makes the difference. And there is the law of diminishing intent. The longer it takes for people to see a change making an impact, the less likely they are to fully embrace ongoing change. So it's better to show a 1% improvement every week than to wait a year to hope that you'll be able to double the performance. So it's step by step making those improvements and taking everyone with you. So really, for us, it's about leveraging what's there, leveraging what's available. Don't reinvent the wheel, don't change things that are working, but find a way to fit in, which is why we talk about being that operational layer. If someone's ERP is working effectively as an account system, etc., don't replace it, but engage, integrate, find the right bits and give that flexibility layer. Reducing the risk. So can we adopt something that's proven and working? And then some areas we might need to innovate and add some extra sort of new ideas and new thinking. But the balance between them, not always doing state-of-the-art, cutting-edge visibility issues and AI on defects, etc., but balancing between adopting things that work and are proven and adding innovation in as we start to build. And as we bring in AI, that's becoming more and more important. So maximize your return on investment using proven technology. But when I say proven, I don't mean proven because it worked 30 years ago. There is the time to bring, make sure it has certain key fundamentals of a digital process, i.e. it's properly digitally enabled. So the key drivers, we talk often about the ideal being someone has one system that does absolutely everything. But actually the way that the tech is going is to give that agility. It's about choosing the right tech stack. You might choose a CRM system like HubSpot because it is state of the art. You might choose an account system like Xero that has absolutely state-of-the-art reporting. It's got AI reporting on financial controllers, etc., and then have an operational manufacturing layer such as DynamxMFG, because we understand complex bill of materials, we understand resource machine, resource labor. We can give you margin reports, we can give you accurate WIP reports, etc. So it's about bringing the right platforms together. But then also that might be that you're already using Office 365 and Teams, etc. So that's one of the reasons with our DynamxMFG platform that we integrate with Copilot. So you can, if you have Copilot running, you can use Copilot to interrogate our system and say, how many machines are down? How many parts am I delivering on time today? Who's in the office? Who's not? Etc., etc. So you've got to look at the technologies for the digital transformations. While it might seem like the ideal to just choose one system that does everything, the chances are you're more likely to need to upgrade or change that sooner than if you have the right best in practice, because you can switch out one element and keep everything else to really ensure you've got that continuous improvement running as well. So let's finish off with a few, and I don't know how my timing's going, but I think we're going to finish off with a few case studies to say the sort of thing that we've been doing with our customers. So GMC, Gloucester Machining Centre, strangely enough, down in Gloucester, CNC Centre, their biggest issue was they knew they had capacity, but they didn't know where it was. Their key customer wanted to put more orders through for them. They knew everyone was busy. Everything seemed to be running all the time, and they didn't know how they were going to get those extra orders. Within 3 months of putting our system in place, they found 40% extra capacity. Now, the digital transformation project is to deliver 40% increase in capacity to them. That wasn't the software, it's the software plus the people plus the doing something about the inside. This is where we've got capacity. This is what we can do to create that and utilize that. Having done that, they then moved twice to a new factory and then doubled the size of that factory with our system in place because it allowed them to keep working, keep seeing full visibility where everything was, not reduce production, and actually now they've over doubled their capacity to deliver. So that is the real return on investment. When you take a system, you know what you want to achieve with it, you have a goal, but then it allows you to build and move forward from that. So another customer, CPL, they're a small engineering group, European engineering group. I think they've got 7 or 8 plants around Europe. You know, they reconfigure vans and vehicles for the construction industry. So you see on the image there, they've got a cherry picker on the back. It might be a crane, it might be other things. For a lot of companies around the world. They have some real complex bills of materials. Everything is different. They needed a scalable system that would allow them to grow and manage large projects and smaller projects. And they've been building with us to replace actually 3 other systems. So their ERP system, a series of smart sheets and Excel sheets, and an HR system. And with our system, they've replaced that, but then they've also added in HubSpot as a really effective CRM, and they're adding on our customer management system to allow them to do post-manufacture customer care. But this has enabled them to reduce their admin and manual entry by 75%. That's people putting things on spreadsheets or multiple entry for the same bits of information. Everything has a single point of truth. They achieved their on-time delivery rate of 99.9%. They can't really get better than that because someone's ultimately going to be a few minutes late. But they're absolutely thrilled, and they've increased their efficiency in production by 12%. So increased efficiency, that's great. That means that improved margin. That means they can do more and have better margins on what they're doing. So that's why from the UK plant, we're now rolling out across the European plants, because they've seen the return on investment and they've seen what they've done. And each stage, they've had a new win as they've expanded it out. And then we look at Maving. I mean, we love these guys because it's a new product. It's a electric bike. We had one on our stand when we were at the last show. So what they were doing is they understood that they could see how things were being made. They had really great process control in terms of the individual manufacturing operations. They have a great ERP system running. The Microsoft Dynamics system or Business Central is running to manage their procurement, etc. But what they didn't have was the agility on the shop floor to track reworks, remakes. How often did something go through that cycle before the bike went out? So yes, we want it just in time. Yes, we want it right first time, but they are building prototypes, new pieces of technology. They wanted to understand that. So ultimately, we gave them that flexibility. We gave them for their new line, their prototype, were able to bring the production into full production 6 months earlier. And through understanding the rework, unlock the potential of an extra 10% margin on the bikes. So it's all about the different layers of what's going on and understanding what's there. And it's the startup growing pains. For them, it's about making sure that they had the right software, the right technologies to scale with them as they expand. And yeah, that's been absolutely delightful to work with them and the team. And then we've got long-term clients like Protea. They've been working with us from our first product all the way back sort of 10 years ago, all the way now onto the new Dynamics manufacturing platform. They've expanded to a second plant. For them, it's about that agility and understanding real audit control of their parts, because they're making these complex gas analyzers. They have to understand every single component that goes on, have it each and every one serialized, and be able to have full traceability. And building through using the system with us, they've been able to do that with much less manual entry and much better clarity. The classic ability to add an item, allocate to a bill of materials, but also move it around as they progress and as they grow. So working and understanding the needs of each of our customers is really important. Now, the key is we don't rebuild the system every time we meet a new customer with different needs. They have the same core product. It's just configurable to make sure that their key goals become the key goals of the system. That might be new ways of capturing data off the shop floor, understanding very clearly what's gone on, what am I stopping, what am I starting, what am I doing? So, ensuring that we're capturing that data from the shop floor in all different formats is always where we start. It might be really creating different ways of visualizing what's going on so that you can nudge people along to make improvements. There's a stoppage over there. There's a bottleneck there. That item's running late. How can we address that? So really getting that visualization as it goes. And it also might be understanding at the end of the day, if you know what's gone on, you have a system that will flag what the issues are. You need to be able to then make the improvements to the system to ensure it doesn't happen again. So that constant feedback loop, where are we doing? What are we doing? How do we improve it? And that's really about creating lasting digital success. So, in summary, what are the pitfalls? First of all, be honest. Ultimately, nothing is quicker than taking a pencil and writing something down. However, if that has to be written down 15 times by 15 different people, as we know, Chinese whispers, it's never going to cause any real success. So there might be, it takes you a little bit longer to track this here, but this is the saving overall. So being clear, honest about why and what it's going to take in the process. Don't always only think about management reporting data. It's how everyone can have a better day. Don't try and build an airport and think about the departure boards as an afterthought. Democratize the information, make it available to everyone who needs to see it. Don't shut it down to just you at the top level, seeing everything. Get everyone being able to see everything, or as much as they can. That really creates much better change. And think that real-time data insights of a poor process will have that process work better. You just open a black hole and then understand what's in the black hole. You do have to do something about the data that comes through. So the opportunities lie in massive, the impact of having the right resources at the right place at the right time, doing the right job with the right tools will transform most SMEs' bottom line. Digital means real-time sharing of information, organization-wide impact. You can address the human emotions, uncertainty, conflict. You can actually achieve a lot of that by just having everyone see what's going on in a more effective way. And productivity ultimately improves with better collaboration, better accountability, and better teamwork. So pulling all of those together, the digital system is not the productivity tool. The productivity tool is how you take the digital system, empower the team around you, and help that to drive long-term, lasting improvements for the manufacturing. If we increase the productivity of UK SME manufacturing by 1%, we put another 13 billion on the GDP, on the bottom line of the country. Now that's got to be worth everyone looking at how can we, if you're looking at this from a tech provider, maybe you're one of our competitors or one of the other other products that are around, we all have to do better to help manufacturers make the changes that are there, get the return on investment that they need, have that real strength that digital transformations doesn't necessarily need to be a horror show. It can be the most effective thing that you do and mean that your manufacturing business, our UK manufacturing business and global manufacturing works better long term. So in closing, the rate of change today is faster than it is slower than it will ever be. So it's always increasing. We always think, it was slower yesterday than it was today. Language is key to our mass adoption, making things simple, making things easy. And AI is here. We are all just getting started with it. But for manufacturing, it's going to be a revolutionary step change. But to really make the most of it, we have to manage how we have digital systems that are agile enough to respond to learning fast. Thank you. If you'd like to know more about the Dynamics platform or a discovery call or just discuss a little bit more about your digital transformation project and how we might be able to be part of it, please, you can scan this QR code and book a discovery call with me. But we'll also post it in the event and share the recording with you too. So I hope you're having a fabulous, not horrific Friday the 13th. And we look forward to seeing you at one of our events over the next few months. I know that we're all very excited going to MAC at the NEC in April. and Smart Manufacturing Week in June, which is always an absolute festival for manufacturers. Thank you. Now, I did say I would answer some questions. So